A single mom accepts a ride in the rain, but when she wakes up in a mansion, she's told she can never leave. What happens when protective custody turns into something far more dangerous? When a mischievous 5-year-old puts Mafia hitmen in timeout? When a sterile fortress becomes a chaotic home? And when safety starts feeling like something else entirely? If you're new here, subscribe and comment your location. Now let's begin. Rachel opened her eyes and immediately knew something was very wrong. The ceiling above her was not her ceiling. Her ceiling had a crack shaped like a lightning bolt and a smoke detector that beeped every night at 2 a.m. This ceiling was smooth white with fancy designs and a chandelier that probably cost more than her entire year's rent. She sat up fast. Her heart was pounding. Where was she? This bedroom was huge. The bed had sheets so soft they felt like clouds. There were paintings on the walls that looked expensive, real expensive, the kind you saw in museums. Then she remembered. Last night, the rain. The man who offered her and Tommy a ride because they were soaking wet and the bus never came. Tommy. Tommy! Rachel threw the covers off and ran to the door. She yanked it open and sprinted into the hallway. She wasn't paying attention to where she was going. She slammed straight into something hard, something that grunted. Rachel bounced backward and looked up. Way up, because what she hit was a man, a tall man with no shirt on, a tall man with blood on his side. "You need to watch where you're running," the man said. His voice was deep and annoyed. Rachel's brain finally caught up. This man was bleeding. He had a white bandage on his ribs and blood was soaking through it. He also had the kind of face that belonged on magazine covers. Strong jaw, dark eyes, the kind of handsome that made you nervous. "You're hurt," Rachel said. "I know I'm hurt. I was there when it happened." The man pressed his hand against the bandage. "Who are you and why are you running through my house?" "Your house? Where's my son? What did you do with Tommy?" Rachel's fear turned into anger. She poked the man right in his chest, his very muscular chest. "If you hurt one hair on his head, I will end you. I don't care how big you are. The kid is fine. He's downstairs eating pancakes and bothering my cook." The man winced and leaned against the wall. "Can you stop yelling? I have a headache." "You have a headache? I woke up in a strange house with no idea how I got here, and you're complaining about a headache?" Rachel crossed her arms. "Start talking. Now, who are you and why am I here?" The man sighed. He looked tired. Really tired. "My name is Dominic Russo. You're in my house. And before you start screaming again, you're here because you're in danger." "Danger? What are you talking about?" "Last night, when I picked you up, you were standing at the corner of 5th and Maple. Do you remember?" "Yes. The bus stop. There was a building across the street. Top floor. Did you see anyone up there?" Rachel thought back. She'd been cold and wet and tired. She'd been watching the street for the bus. Had she looked up? Maybe. She couldn't remember. "I don't know. Maybe. I wasn't paying attention." "Well, my people think you were. They think you saw something you shouldn't have. A meeting. Important people. Faces that aren't supposed to be seen together." Dominic pushed off the wall and stood up straight, even hurt. He was intimidating. "So, until we figure out if you're a problem or not, you're staying here." "Staying here? Like a prisoner? Like a guest? A guest who can't leave yet. That's literally the definition of a prisoner." Rachel's voice went up. "You can't just keep us here." "I can and I am. It's for your own safety." Dominic started walking down the hall. "There are people looking for witnesses, bad people. If they find you before I know you're safe, they'll kill you and your son. No questions asked." Rachel's blood ran cold. "You're lying." "I wish I was." Dominic stopped and turned around. "Look, I'm not the good guy in this story, but I'm also not the bad guy who's going to let a woman and a kid get murdered because they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. So you're staying here until this blows over. End of discussion. You can't just—" "I can. I did. Now come downstairs and see your son before he convinces Maria to make him a third batch of pancakes." Dominic walked away. Rachel stood in the hallway. Her hands were shaking. This was insane, completely insane. She should run, find a phone, call the police. But then she heard it. Tommy's laugh, coming from downstairs, happy and loud and completely unbothered. Rachel ran down the stairs. The house was even bigger than she thought. Everything was white and grey and perfect, like a magazine, like nobody actually lived here. She found the kitchen. It was enormous, all stainless steel and marble counters. And sitting at the counter was Tommy, covered in syrup, with a stack of pancakes in front of him. "Mama, you're awake!" Tommy grinned. He had syrup on his nose. "Miss Maria makes the best pancakes ever, and she said, 'I can have chocolate milk.'" An older woman stood by the stove. She had grey hair and kind eyes and an apron that said, "Kiss the cook," in Italian. She smiled at Rachel. "Good morning. You must be hungry. Sit. I'll make you a plate." "I don't want a plate. I want to know what's going on." Rachel walked over to Tommy and checked him over. No bruises, no cuts. He looked fine, better than fine. He looked happy. "Mama, this house is so cool. It has like 100 rooms, and Mr. Dominic said maybe I can see the pool later." Tommy shoved another bite of pancake in his mouth. "There's no pool time. We're leaving." Rachel looked at Maria. "I need a phone." "No phones." Dominic walked into the kitchen. He'd put on a shirt, a black shirt that somehow made him look even more dangerous. "Not until we're sure you're clear." "Clear of what exactly?" "Clear of being a witness to a crime. Clear of being on a hit list. Clear of being a problem." Dominic poured himself coffee. "It'll take a few days, maybe a week. Then you can go home." "A week? I have a job, I have bills, I have a life." "Had a life. Right now, your life is here." Dominic drank his coffee. "Maria will get you anything you need. Clothes, toiletries, whatever, just make a list. I don't want your charity." "It's not charity. It's basic hospitality." Dominic looked at Tommy. "Kid, you like video games?" Tommy's eyes went huge. "Yes. Game room is down the hall. Third door on the left. Every console, every game." Dominic watched Tommy's face light up. "Go check it out." "Can I, Mama? Please?" Tommy was already sliding off his chair. Rachel wanted to say no, wanted to grab Tommy and find a way out of this nightmare, but Tommy looked so happy, so excited. And after months of struggling to give him anything fun, how could she take this away? "Fine, but stay in that room. Don't wander off." "Yes." Tommy ran out of the kitchen like a rocket. Rachel turned to Dominic. "You can't bribe a kid with video games and think that makes this okay. I'm not trying to make it okay. I'm trying to make it bearable." Dominic set down his coffee cup. "Look, I get it. You're scared. You're angry. You want to go home. But right now, home isn't safe. Here is safe. So either you accept that and make the best of it, or you spend the next week fighting me and making everyone miserable. Your choice." "Some choice. It's the only one you've got." Dominic walked toward the door. He stopped and looked back. "By the way, the West Wing is off limits. Don't go there. Everything else is fair game." Then he was gone. Rachel stood in the kitchen. Maria was still cooking. The smell of bacon filled the air. Everything felt surreal. "He's not a bad man," Maria said softly. "Mr. Dominic. He seems scary, but he has a good heart. A good heart doesn't kidnap people. He's protecting you. There's a difference." Maria put a plate of food in front of Rachel. "Eat, you'll feel better." Rachel didn't want to eat, but the food smelled amazing and she hadn't eaten since yesterday afternoon. She picked up a fork. The pancakes were incredible. 3 hours later, Rachel had explored the house. Well, the parts she was allowed to see. The place was massive. 10 bedrooms, 8 bathrooms, a library, a gym, a home theater, a game room where Tommy was currently losing his mind over a racing game. Everything was perfect and clean and cold. Nobody lived here. Not really. This was a house, not a home. Rachel found herself back in the kitchen. Maria was making lunch now, something that smelled like tomatoes and garlic. "Can I help?" Rachel asked. Maria looked surprised. "You want to help? I can't just sit around doing nothing. I'll go crazy." Rachel washed her hands. "What are you making?" "Pasta sauce. From my grandmother's recipe." Maria smiled. "You know how to chop?" "I worked in a diner for 5 years. I can chop." They worked together. Maria told stories about her grandmother in Italy. Rachel told stories about trying to raise Tommy alone. It felt normal, almost nice. Then, a man walked into the kitchen. A big man in a suit with a gun visible under his jacket. He nodded at Maria. "Boss wants to see the woman." Rachel's stomach dropped. "Why?" "Didn't say. Just said to bring you to his office." Rachel looked at Maria. The older woman gave her an encouraging nod. "Go, it'll be fine." Rachel followed the man through the house. They went to the west wing, the forbidden area. He stopped at a large door and knocked. "Come in," Dominic's voice. The man opened the door. Rachel walked in. The office was different from the rest of the house. It had personality: dark wood furniture, leather chairs, books on shelves, a desk covered in papers, and Dominic sitting behind that desk, looking at a computer screen. "Sit," he said without looking up. Rachel sat. She waited. Dominic kept typing. Finally he looked at her. "We have a problem. Just one. Don't be cute. This is serious." Dominic turned the computer screen toward her. "Recognize this man?" Rachel looked at the photo. A man in his 50s, expensive suit, mean eyes. "No, should I?" "His name is Victor Castellano. He runs the Castellano family. They're my competition. My enemies. And they think you're a witness to a meeting I had with a city councilman last week." Dominic pulled the computer back. "They've put out word that they're looking for you, but I didn't see anything. Doesn't matter. They think you did, and Victor doesn't take chances." Dominic's face was hard. "He sent people to your apartment, your job. They're asking questions, looking for you and your son." Rachel felt sick. "What does that mean?" "It means you can't go home. Not yet. Maybe not for a while." Dominic stood up and walked to the window. "I'm working on it. Trying to convince Victor you're nobody. But he's stubborn and paranoid." "So what? We just stay here forever?" "No, we stay here until I fix this." Dominic turned around. "And I will fix this. I promise you that." "Why should I believe you?" "Because if I wanted you dead, you'd already be dead." His voice was blunt, honest. "I don't hurt innocent people. It's bad for business and bad for sleep." Rachel stared at him. This man, this criminal, he was trying to save them, in his own twisted way. "How long?" she asked quietly. "I don't know. A week, maybe 2. Tommy has school. I'll hire a tutor. I have bills. I'll pay them. I have a life. And I'm trying to make sure you keep it." Dominic's voice rose. Then he stopped, took a breath. "I'm sorry. This isn't what I wanted either. But it's what we've got. So we deal with it." Rachel stood up. "Fine, we'll stay. But I have rules." Dominic raised an eyebrow. "You have rules?" "Yes. Rule 1. Tommy and I eat dinner together every night. No interruptions. Rule 2. I need something to do. I can't just sit around. Rule 3. No guns around Tommy. I don't care who you are or what you do. No weapons around my son." Dominic stared at her. Then slowly he smiled. A real smile. "You're either very brave or very stupid. I'm a single mother. Same thing." Rachel crossed her arms. "Do we have a deal?" "Deal." Dominic held out his hand. Rachel shook it. His hand was warm and strong and calloused. She pulled away quickly. "One more thing," Dominic said. "My grandmother is coming for dinner tonight. She's intense. Try not to let her scare you. Your grandmother? Nonna Lucia. She's 93 and terrifying. Dominic actually looked nervous. She's going to want to meet you and Tommy. Just be polite. And whatever you do, don't mention that you're here against your will. She'll have my head. Rachel couldn't help it. She laughed. The big, scary Mafia boss is afraid of his grandmother? You haven't met Nonna Lucia. That night, Rachel understood what Dominic meant. Nonna Lucia arrived at 6 p.m. in a car that probably cost more than Rachel's entire apartment building. She was tiny, maybe 5 feet tall, but she walked into that house like she owned it. She had white hair in a perfect bun, sharp eyes, a dress that probably cost $1,000, and an attitude that made everyone jump. "Where is this woman?" Nonna Lucia demanded in heavily accented English. "Where is the girl who has my grandson acting like a fool?" Dominic appeared. He kissed his grandmother on both cheeks. "Nonna, please be nice." "I'm always nice." She swatted his arm. "Now, where is she?" Rachel stepped forward. "I'm Rachel. It's nice to meet you." Nonna Lucia looked her up and down. Her eyes were sharp, missing nothing. "You're pretty. Too skinny. But pretty. You have children?" "One son. Tommy. He's 5. 5. A good age. Strong boy? Very strong. Good. Weak children make weak adults." Nonna Lucia walked past Rachel into the house. "Where is dinner?" "I'm hungry." Dinner was chaos, the good kind. Nonna Lucia sat at the head of the table and held court like a queen. She asked Rachel 100 questions about her family, her job, her life. Rachel answered honestly. Something about the old woman made lying impossible. Tommy sat next to Nonna Lucia, and she loved him immediately. She kept putting food on his plate. "Eat, bambino. You're too skinny like your mama." "I like eating," Tommy said through a mouthful of pasta. "Good boy. Always eat what's given to you. It's rude to waste food." Halfway through dinner, Nonna Lucia turned to Dominic. "So, when are you marrying this girl?" Dominic choked on his wine. "Nonna, we just met." "So, your grandfather and I knew each other 3 days before we married. Look how well that turned out. Nonno died when you were 45. "Yes, but we had 27 good years before that." Nonna Lucia patted Rachel's hand. "Don't wait too long, Cara. Good men are hard to find. Even if this one is a little stupid sometimes." Rachel didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She looked at Dominic. He looked like he wanted to disappear into the floor. After dinner, Nonna Lucia pulled Rachel aside. "Walk with me in the garden." They walked. The garden was beautiful. Flowers everywhere, lights in the trees, peaceful. "My grandson," Nonna Lucia said. "He's a good boy, but he's lost. Ever since his father died, he's been trying to be someone he's not." "What do you mean?" "His father was hard, cold. He ran this family like a business. No heart. Only money and power." Nonna Lucia stopped by a fountain. "Dominic thinks he has to be the same way. But he's not. He has his mother's heart. Soft, kind. He hides it, but it's there." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you're going to fall in love with him. Maybe you already are starting to." Nonna Lucia smiled at Rachel's shocked face. "Don't look so surprised. I see how he looks at you, like you're water, and he's been in the desert for years. And I see how you look at him when you think no one is watching. I don't." "Yes, you do. And that's okay. Just remember, he's broken inside. Someone hurt him badly. Be patient with him." Nonna Lucia patted Rachel's cheek. "Now, I heard you use coupons at the grocery store. Tell me about this. I want to save money too." Rachel blinked. "You want couponing tips?" "Of course. Why waste money when you can save it? Even rich people should be smart." They spent the next hour talking about coupons. Nonna Lucia took notes. She was dead serious about it. When Nonna Lucia finally left, Dominic found Rachel in the kitchen. "I'm sorry about her. She's a lot." "She's wonderful." Rachel smiled. "And she gave me couponing tips for your grocery shopping." "You're welcome." Dominic stared at her. "You taught my billionaire grandmother about coupons?" she asked. He started laughing, really laughing. The kind of laugh that made his whole face change, made him look younger, happier. Rachel found herself laughing too. For the first time since this nightmare started, things felt almost okay. The next morning, Rachel woke up to screaming. She ran out of her room and followed the noise. It was coming from downstairs. She found Tommy in the living room. He was standing on the couch. There was paint everywhere. The walls, the furniture, the floor, and in his hands, a paintbrush. "Tommy!" Rachel yelled. "What did you do?" "I made art." Tommy pointed at the wall. He'd painted what looked like a dinosaur eating a car. On the white wall, the very expensive white wall, 3 of Dominic's men stood in the doorway. They looked terrified. Not of Tommy, of Rachel. "We tried to stop him, ma'am," one said, "but he's fast." Rachel put her hands on her hips. "Tommy, get down. Now." "But Mama." "Now." Tommy climbed down. His face fell. "I'm sorry. I just wanted to make the house prettier. It's so white and boring." Rachel wanted to be mad, but looking at the painting she had to admit it wasn't bad. For a 5-year-old, footsteps. Dominic appeared. He looked at the wall, at Tommy, at the paint everywhere. "I'm so sorry," Rachel said quickly. "I'll clean it. I'll paint over it. Is that supposed to be a T-Rex?" Dominic asked Tommy. Tommy nodded. "He's eating a bad guy's car. The bad guy deserved it?" "Yes. He was mean to his dog." Dominic studied the painting. Then he looked at his men. "Get this framed." "Sir?" one of them asked. "You heard me. Get it framed. We're keeping it." Dominic looked at Tommy. "But next time, ask before you paint on walls." "Deal?" "Deal!" Tommy grinned. Rachel stared. "You're keeping it?" "Why not? It's better than the boring painting that was there before." Dominic walked away. "And get him more art supplies. If he's going to redecorate, he might as well do it properly." The men looked at each other, then at Rachel. One of them whispered, "What just happened?" "I have no idea," Rachel whispered back. That afternoon, Rachel found Tommy in the game room, but he wasn't alone. Dominic was there. They were playing a racing game together. No, you have to drift around the corner," Dominic was saying. "Like this. I am drifting. You're crashing. There's a difference." Rachel watched from the doorway. Dominic was patient with Tommy, teaching him, laughing when Tommy's car went flying off the track. Something in her chest squeezed. Tommy hadn't had this, a man to play with, to teach him things. His father left before he was born. Rachel's father was dead. Tommy had been growing up without any male figure in his life. And here was Dominic, a criminal, a dangerous man, playing video games with her son like it was the most natural thing in the world. "Mama, come play with us." Tommy spotted her. "I don't know how to play." "I'll teach you," Dominic said. "It's easy." Rachel sat down. Dominic handed her a controller. His fingers brushed hers and she felt a spark. Their eyes met, held for a second too long. Then Tommy crashed his car again, and the moment broke. They played for an hour. Rachel was terrible at it. Dominic was patient. Tommy thought it was hilarious. For a little while, it felt like a family. That thought scared Rachel more than anything else. The next few days turned into a pattern. A strange, chaotic pattern that turned Dominic's perfect house upside down. It started with breakfast. Tommy decided he didn't like sitting at the table. He wanted to eat on the floor like a camping trip, so he dragged blankets into the dining room and made a fort under the massive table. Rachel expected Dominic to say no. Instead, he crawled under the table and ate breakfast there too. His men walked in, saw their boss sitting cross-legged under a blanket fort, eating cereal, and didn't say a word. Then there was the incident with the panic room. Rachel was looking for Tommy. He'd disappeared during quiet time. She searched everywhere. Finally heard giggling coming from behind a bookshelf. She pulled it open and found a door. A heavy metal door. Open. Inside was a room full of computers and supplies and emergency equipment, and a bathtub full of bubbles with Tommy in it. Tommy. "Mama, look! This room has everything, even a bathtub." Tommy splashed. Bubbles went everywhere. All over the computers, the equipment, everything. "How did you even find this place?" "I was exploring, and I found this cool secret door, and there was a bathtub, so I thought I'd take a bath." Rachel was about to yell when Dominic appeared behind her. He looked at the scene, at his very expensive panic room filled with bubbles, at Tommy grinning in the tub. "That's a $10,000 computer system," Dominic said. "I'm so sorry. I'll pay for it. Somehow. Rachel started. "It's waterproof now." "Good to know." Dominic walked away. Rachel stood there, shocked. Did he just make a joke? Maria appeared with towels. "Mr. Dominic is changing. That boy of yours is magic." That night, one of Dominic's men came to the house, a big guy named Sal. He had a scar on his face and looked like he ate nails for breakfast. He was there for a meeting. The meeting was in the living room. Serious talk about shipments and money and things Rachel didn't want to know about. She was in the kitchen with Tommy, making cookies. Tommy got bored. He wandered into the living room. Rachel didn't notice until she heard it. "You're in timeout." Rachel ran to the living room. Tommy was pointing at Sal, the big, scary man with the scar. "Tommy, what are you doing?" "He said a bad word. The S word. That's a timeout word." Tommy pointed at the corner. "Go stand in the corner for 5 minutes and think about what you did." Sal looked at Dominic. "Boss?" Dominic was trying not to laugh. "You did say the word. I'm not standing in the corner for a 5-year-old. Tommy crossed his arms. "Then you don't get cookies." "I don't want." Sal stopped. "What kind of cookies?" "Chocolate chip." "With the good chocolate, but only good boys who don't say bad words get cookies." Sal looked at the corner, at Tommy, at the kitchen where the smell of fresh cookies was coming from. He stood up and walked to the corner. Dominic's other men stared. Their scary colleague, the man who'd broken someone's arm last week, was standing in timeout. Rachel covered her mouth. She was trying not to laugh. 5 minutes, Tommy said seriously, and you have to think about why bad words are bad. After 5 minutes, Tommy told Sal he could leave the corner. Sal got his cookies. He ate 3 of them and admitted they were the best cookies he'd ever had. From that day on, all of Dominic's men were terrified of Tommy, not because he was scary, but because he had standards and he wasn't afraid to enforce them. One morning, Rachel found action figures lined up on the mantel in the living room, right next to a very real gun that someone had left there. She grabbed the gun and marched into Dominic's office. She didn't knock. "What did I say about guns around Tommy?" She put the gun on his desk. Dominic looked up. "That was Marco's. I'll talk to him." "Talk to him?" "Dominic, there are weapons everywhere in this house. Tommy found a knife in the kitchen that could probably cut through a car. That's a chef's knife. It was next to his action figures. I'll have a safe installed in every room. Anything dangerous goes in the safe." Dominic stood up. "I'm sorry. You're right. I wasn't thinking." Rachel stopped. She'd been ready for a fight, but he just agreed with her. "Oh, okay then. Is that all?" "No. Tommy wants a dog." "Absolutely not. That's what I told him. But he asked me to ask you because, and I quote, Mr. Dominic is nicer than Mama sometimes." Dominic smiled. "Smart kid. Don't even think about getting him a dog." "I wasn't, Dominic. I was thinking about a puppy." "There's a difference." "No." 2 days later, Tommy had a puppy, a golden retriever that Tommy named Potato because, according to him, he's shaped like a potato, Mama. Rachel wanted to be mad. But watching Tommy play with Potato in the garden made her heart hurt in a good way. Tommy was laughing, really laughing, the kind of happy she hadn't been able to give him in their small apartment with their small life. "I can't believe you got him a dog," Rachel said. She was sitting on the patio with Dominic, watching Tommy run around. He wanted one. I have the space. It made sense. You're terrible at saying no to him. So are you. Dominic smiled. He's a good kid. You did well with him. I'm doing the best I can. Single mom. Barely making rent. Working double shifts. Rachel sighed. Some days I feel like I'm failing him. You're not failing, you're surviving. There's a difference. Dominic looked at her. He's happy, healthy, polite, brave enough to put grown men in time out. That doesn't happen by accident. Rachel felt her throat get tight. When was the last time someone told her she was doing a good job? When was the last time someone saw how hard she was trying? Thank you, she whispered. They sat in comfortable silence, watching Tommy and Potato play. Then Dominic's phone rang. He looked at the screen and his whole face changed, went hard. I have to take this. He walked away, already answering in Italian. Rachel watched him go. His shoulders were tense. Something was wrong. That night, Rachel couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about Dominic's face, the worry she'd seen there. She got up and walked through the house, found him in his office. The door was open. He was sitting at his desk, with his head in his hands. Dominic? He looked up. You should be sleeping. So should you. Rachel walked in. What's wrong? Nothing you need to worry about. That's not true. If it affects how long we're stuck here, I need to worry about it. She sat down across from him. Talk to me. Dominic was quiet for a long moment. Then he sighed. Victor Castellano is pushing harder. He wants proof you're not a witness. Real proof. He's threatening to come here if I don't produce it. What kind of proof? A meeting. He wants to question you himself. Rachel's stomach dropped. And if I can't prove I didn't see anything, then we have a problem. Dominic's voice was cold, flat. A big problem. You mean he'll kill us? He'll try, but I won't let that happen. Dominic looked at her. His eyes were fierce. I promise you, Rachel, Tommy, neither of you are going to get hurt. I'll die before I let that happen. Don't say that. Why not? It's true. He stood up and walked to the window. This is my fault. I brought you into this. I'm the one who has to get you out. Rachel stood too. She walked over to him. They stood close. Too close. It's not your fault. You were trying to help. You gave us a ride in the rain, that's all. She touched his arm. We'll figure this out. Dominic looked down at her hand on his arm, then at her face. Something shifted in his expression. Something intense. You should go back to bed, he said quietly. You should too. I can't. Too much to think about. Then I'll stay up with you. Rachel sat down on the couch in his office. Come on. Tell me about your day. What does a mafia boss even do all day? Dominic stared at her. Then slowly, he smiled. You really want to know? Yeah. I'm curious. So he told her. About the businesses he ran. The legitimate ones. Restaurants and shipping companies and real estate. He talked about negotiations and contracts and dealing with people who thought they could cheat him. Rachel listened, asked questions, made jokes. They talked until the sun came up. When Rachel finally went back to her room, she realized something terrifying. She liked Dominic, really liked him. Not just as the person keeping them safe, but as a person. Someone funny and smart and trying to be better than his father taught him to be. She was in trouble. The next day, Victor Castellano called. He was coming to the house, tomorrow, to question Rachel himself. Dominic's men went into overdrive. Security was doubled. Weapons were checked. Everyone was tense. Rachel tried to stay calm. For Tommy. But inside she was panicking. That night, Dominic found her in the kitchen. She was stress baking. There were cookies and brownies and a cake cooling on the counter. You bake when you're nervous, Dominic observed. I bake when I'm terrified. Rachel frosted the cake with shaking hands. Tomorrow that man is going to come here and decide if we live or die. So yeah, I'm baking. Dominic took the spatula from her hands, set it down. Look at me. Rachel looked up. Nothing is going to happen to you. I'm going to be there the whole time. My men will be there. Victor isn't stupid. He won't try anything in my house. This is just a formality. What if he doesn't believe me? Then I'll convince him. I'm very persuasive when I need to be. Dominic's smile was sharp, dangerous. Victor Castellano is a businessman. He understands leverage, and I have plenty of leverage. Like what? Like the fact that I know where his money is hidden, like the fact that I have evidence of crimes that could put him away for life. Like the fact that if something happens to you, I'll burn his entire operation to the ground and salt the earth. Dominic's voice was ice cold. He knows this. Trust me. Rachel did trust him. That was the scary part. Thank you, she said quietly, for everything. I know this isn't easy for you either. It's worth it. Dominic reached out and tucked a piece of hair behind her ear. His fingers lingered. You're worth it. Rachel's breath caught. They were standing so close. She could feel his warmth, see the flecks of gold in his dark eyes. Dominic, I know. This is complicated. Stupid even. You're here because I'm trying to keep you safe. Getting involved would be wrong. His hand cupped her face. But God help me, Rachel. I can't stop thinking about you. I can't stop thinking about you either, Rachel whispered. They moved at the same time. The kiss was soft at first, gentle. Then it deepened, became something desperate and hungry and full of all the tension that had been building between them. When they finally pulled apart, both were breathing hard. We can't, Rachel said. I know. This is crazy. I know, but I don't want to stop. Dominic smiled. Me neither. They kissed again. And again, until Maria walked in and coughed loudly. The boy is asking for his mother. Also, there's a man bleeding in the driveway. Thought you should know, Mr. Dominic. Dominic pulled away. Bleeding? Yes, one of yours. Got jumped in the city. He drove here. Dominic swore and ran out. Rachel followed. In the driveway was one of Dominic's men, young guy named Tony. He was holding his side and blood was dripping through his fingers. What happened? Dominic demanded. Castellano's guys. They jumped me outside the restaurant, sent a message. Tony winced. Said tomorrow is just the beginning. Said you're going to pay for protecting that woman. Rachel felt cold. This was because of her. This man was hurt because of her. Dominic's face went dark. Get him inside. Call the doctor. Now. His men moved fast. They got Tony into the house. The doctor was called. Dominic turned to Rachel. Go inside. Lock your door. Don't come out until I come get you. Dominic. Now, Rachel. This isn't a game anymore. Rachel grabbed Tommy and went to their room. She locked the door, held Tommy close while he asked questions she couldn't answer. Outside, she heard voices, yelling, Dominic giving orders in Italian, cars coming and going. This was real. The danger, the violence, the world Dominic lived in, and she was right in the middle of it. Hours later, there was a knock on the door. Rachel? It's me. She opened the door. Dominic stood there. He looked tired, angry, but unharmed. Is Tony okay? Rachel asked. He'll be fine. Needed stitches, but nothing major. Dominic ran his hand through his hair. Rachel, I need to tell you something. About tomorrow. What? Victor isn't just coming to question you. He's coming to make a point, to show that he can reach into my home, my territory. He wants me scared. Are you scared? Terrified. Dominic looked at her. But not for me. For you. For Tommy. If Victor senses any weakness, he'll exploit it. Then I won't show weakness. Rachel lifted her chin. I'll answer his questions. I'll prove I'm nobody. I'll do whatever it takes. You're not nobody. Dominic stepped closer. You're everything. They stood in the doorway. Tommy was asleep behind them. The house was quiet. If something happens tomorrow, Dominic started. Nothing is going to happen. But if it does, I need you to know. These past 2 weeks, having you here, you and Tommy, It's changed something in me, made me want things I thought I'd given up on, a family, a home, someone to come back to. Rachel's eyes filled with tears. Dominic, I'm in love with you. He said it simply, like it was a fact. I know it's fast. I know it's insane. But it's true. And if tomorrow goes wrong, I needed you to know. Tomorrow won't go wrong. Rachel pulled him close, kissed him hard. Because we're going to get through this, together, and then we're going to figure out what this is. Okay? Okay. They held each other in the doorway, two broken people trying to be whole. The next morning came too fast. Victor Castellano arrived at 10 a.m. He brought 6 men, all armed, all dangerous. Rachel watched from the window as they got out of their cars. Victor was older than she expected, grey hair, expensive suit. He walked like a king. Dominic met him at the door. They shook hands, smiled, but Rachel could see the tension. They all went into the living room. Rachel was brought down. She sat on the couch. Victor sat across from her. His men stood behind him. Dominic's men stood behind Dominic. Tommy was upstairs with Maria, safe. So, Victor said. His voice was smooth, educated. You're the woman causing all this trouble. I didn't mean to cause any trouble, Rachel said. Her voice was steady. I was just waiting for a bus. At the corner of 5th and Maple. Last month. Around 8 p.m. Yes. And you saw nothing? No one? I saw rain. I saw cars. I was cold and wet and worried about my son. I wasn't paying attention to anything else. Rachel looked Victor in the eye. I'm a single mother working 2 jobs. I don't have time to spy on people. I don't even have time to watch TV. Victor studied her. You work at the Sunrise Diner. Yes. Your boss says you're reliable, never miss a shift, good with customers. I try to be. Your landlord says you pay rent on time. Quiet. No trouble. That's correct. Your son's teacher says he's a good student, polite, well-behaved. Rachel's stomach twisted. You talk to my son's teacher? I talk to everyone when I'm investigating someone. Victor leaned forward. Here's what I think. I think you're telling the truth. I think you're exactly what you seem. A woman who was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Relief flooded through Rachel. Then, we can go home? Not yet. Victor smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. Because there's a complication. You've been living here, in Dominic's house, for 2 weeks, which means you've seen things, heard things, you know how he operates, where he lives, who works for him. I don't know anything, Rachel said quickly. You know enough, and that makes you a liability. Victor sat back. So here's my offer. You and your son disappear. New city, new names. We help you relocate. In exchange, you never speak about any of this. Not to police, not to FBI, not to anyone. Rachel looked at Dominic. His face was stone, but she could see the anger in his eyes. And if I say no, Rachel asked, then you become a problem, and I solve problems permanently. Victor's smile got wider. But you seem smart, so I don't think you'll say no. Rachel's mind raced. This was a way out, a real way out. Safety for her and Tommy, a new life. But it meant leaving Dominic, never seeing him again, pretending these 2 weeks never happened. I need to think about it, Rachel said. You have until tonight. Victor stood. Make the right choice, Miss Rachel. For your son's sake. He left. His men followed. The house was silent. Dominic looked at Rachel. You should take the offer. What? He's giving you a way out, a clean break. You and Tommy will be safe. Dominic's voice was flat. Take it. Just like that. After everything you said last night. Last night I was being selfish. This morning I'm being smart. Dominic stood up. You don't belong in this world, Rachel. You're too good for it. Tommy deserves better than growing up around violence and fear. And what about you? What do you deserve? I deserve exactly what I have. A big empty house. A life built on violence. No future beyond the next threat. Dominic looked away. But you You deserve happiness, safety, a chance at a normal life. Rachel felt her heart breaking. You're pushing me away. I'm letting you go. There's a difference. Dominic. The answer is yes. You're taking Victor's offer. I'll make sure he follows through. You and Tommy will be set up somewhere safe. Far from here. Far from me. Dominic walked to the door. Pack your things. You're leaving tonight. He left before she could argue. Rachel sat alone in the living room. Everything felt wrong. They'd found something real, something good, and Dominic was throwing it away because he thought she'd be safer without him. He was probably right, but Rachel had spent her whole life playing it safe, working dead-end jobs, accepting that her life would always be small and hard and lonely. For the first time she'd felt alive, felt seen, felt like maybe she deserved something more. And she wasn't ready to give that up. Rachel found Maria in the kitchen. I need your help. With what, Cara? With being stupid. Rachel smiled. Really, really stupid. That night, Victor's men came to pick up Rachel and Tommy. They had new IDs ready, bus tickets, an apartment waiting in another city. But when they knocked on Rachel's door, she wasn't there. She was in Dominic's office, with Tommy, and Maria, and Nonna Lucia, who'd shown up an hour earlier demanding to know what was happening. You're not sending her away, Nonna Lucia told Dominic. She was standing in front of his desk with her arms crossed, tiny but fierce. Nonna, this isn't your business. Everything you do is my business. I'm your grandmother. She poked him in the chest. That girl loves you. Anyone with eyes can see it. And you love her. So stop being a coward. I'm trying to keep her safe. You're trying to keep yourself safe from being hurt, from caring about someone. Nonna Lucia's voice softened. I know your father taught you that love is weakness, but your father was wrong. Love is strength. It's the only thing that makes this ugly world bearable. Dominic looked at Rachel. You should have left. I should have, but I didn't. Rachel walked over to him. Because I'm tired of running. I'm tired of being scared. I'm tired of accepting less than I deserve. What are you saying? I'm saying I want to stay, not as a prisoner, not as a guest, but as someone who chooses to be here. With you. Rachel took his hand. We can figure out Victor, figure out the danger, but we do it together. You could die. I could die crossing the street. I could die from a million things. But at least if I'm here, I'm living first. Rachel squeezed his hand. Don't you want to live, Dominic? Really live? Not just survive? Dominic pulled her close, kissed her hard. When he pulled back, he was smiling. You're insane. I learned from the best. Tommy tugged on Dominic's sleeve. Does this mean we get to stay and keep Potato? Dominic laughed. Yeah, kid, you get to stay. Yes. Tommy jumped up and down. Mama, we get to stay in the mansion. Nonna Lucia smiled. Good. Now someone go tell those men outside that Rachel isn't leaving, and offer them some coffee. It's rude to leave people waiting in cars. Dominic sent his men to deal with Victor's guys. There would be consequences, problems. Victor wouldn't be happy. But for the first time in his life, Dominic didn't care. He had something worth fighting for, something worth protecting. A family. The next few weeks were chaos. Good chaos. Tommy started school at a private academy nearby. Dominic hired a tutor to help him catch up. Potato grew bigger and destroyed 2 couches and a very expensive rug. Rachel started helping Maria with the cooking. Then she started helping Dominic with his legitimate businesses. Turns out waitressing skills translated well to restaurant management. She had ideas. Good ideas. Dominic listened. Victor Castellano was furious at first, threatened war, but Dominic offered him a deal, a partnership on a new shipping route. Profits shared 50-50. Victor took it. Business over pride. The danger didn't disappear. It never would. But it became manageable. Dominic's men were always around. Security was tight. Rachel learned to live with it. 6 months later, Dominic proposed. Not with a fancy restaurant or a big production. He proposed in the kitchen while Rachel was making breakfast and Tommy was chasing Potato through the house. "Marry me," he said. Rachel dropped the spatula. "What? Marry me. Make this official. Make me the luckiest man alive. That's the worst proposal ever." "I know. I'm nervous." Dominic got down on one knee, pulled out a ring. "Rachel, you walked into my life in the rain and changed everything. You made this house a home. You made me want to be better. You gave me a family. Marry me, please." Rachel was crying. "Yes, yes, you stupid man." "Yes." Tommy ran in. "Are we getting married? Can I be the ring bearer? Can Potato be in the wedding? Can we have cake?" They got married 3 months later. Small ceremony, just family and close friends. Nonna Lucia cried through the whole thing. Maria made the cake. Tommy was the ring bearer and took his job very seriously. Potato wore a bow tie and knocked over the cake table. It was perfect. Rachel stood in the garden after the ceremony, watching Tommy and Potato play. Dominic came up behind her and wrapped his arms around her waist. "Happy?" he asked. Deliriously. Rachel leaned back against him. "Who knew getting kidnapped could turn out so well? Technically, you weren't kidnapped. You were protective custodied. That's not a word. It is now." Dominic kissed her neck. "I love you, Mrs. Russo. I love you too, even though you're a criminal. Reformed criminal. I'm mostly legitimate now. Mostly doesn't count. It's the best I can do." Rachel turned in his arms. "It's enough. You're enough." They kissed as the sun set over the garden. Tommy cheered. Potato barked. Nonna Lucia yelled at them to save it for the honeymoon. It was chaos, messy and complicated and nothing like the fairy tales. But it was theirs. And sometimes the best love stories start with a ride in the rain and end with a home full of laughter, a mischievous child, and a dog named Potato. Thank you for watching this chaotic love story. Now here's my question. Would you accept a ride from a stranger in the rain, or would you rather stay soaking wet? Drop your answer and tell me where you're watching from in the comments below. And if you loved Rachel and Dominic's crazy journey, hit that subscribe button because trust me, more wild romance stories are coming your way.